In a world overrun by neocon warmongers, and with the mass media in the pockets of the cabal elite, there remains one bastion of truth amidst the confusion. One beacon of light shining through the murky fog of spin and Islamophobic propaganda. That's right, it's the NP Radio Security Council, the final frontier in the fight for freedom and fairness. I give you the Security Council.
أبدا لن نحيد أبدا لن نحيد أبدا لن نحيد عن خطى الإيمان دربنا درب قويم دربنا درب قويم بالهدى القرآني أبدا لن نحيد أبدا لن نحيد أبدا لن نحيد عن خطى الإيمان دربنا درب قويم دربنا درب قويم بالهدى القرآني سائر في طريق الحق يا جند الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You are listening to the Security Council on Middle Path Radio. Today's show is hosted by myself, Khabbab, and also in the studio we do have our producer. Again, as always, we'll start off with reminding our listeners about joining in with the discussions today on the Security Council. Our number is 07477080248. That's 07477080248. Please do call, please do text, or you can WhatsApp in your comments, your opinions, and please do join in with the discussion that we have on the show today. Alternatively, you can follow us on Twitter or Facebook at Middle Path Radio, or you could drop us an email at info@middlepathradio.com. Just before the show, obviously, the kind of bombshell came out of the CIA report. And I think, as we did discuss last week, the CIA kind of report has still been kind of dissected as we go throughout the whole week, and a lot more issues and stories have been arising from that. But not just that, I think worldwide a lot of big events have been happening, and I think there's a lot to discuss today. And so today's kind of discussion on the show won't necessarily take maybe a stringent format as we have had in the past. It'll be quite loose, and we'll kind of drift from one topic to another as we discuss the issues of the week. The siege that took place, for us, it'll be in the early hours of Monday morning, very early from here in the UK. And obviously, where there was a cafe that was a Lint cafe, that was held for siege for practically the whole day, and kind of the siege kind of ended yesterday evening after the police kind of stormed the cafe, and I believe 2 people died in the process alongside with the hostage taker. Now, obviously, a lot of things have been coming out as to who was this hostage taker, what was his motives, and I think immediately after the siege took place, the first thing that was going around was, a black Shahada flag was pinned against the window, so therefore, it was quite clear this must be an Islamic themed hostage, and also the fact that the hostage taker was demanding an ISIS flag, so. All of this is coming out, and obviously looking at some sort of retaliation against ISIS, by ISIS, sorry. And as a kind of the day wore on, a lot of things have been coming out, leaking out, and a lot of things, I think personally to me just does not fit in. It just bears all the hallmarks of some sort of false flag operation. This is my personal thoughts. Yeah, it's like I think 48 or 49 or something like that. So you're looking at an old man here, a very random kind of Ujula cafe, but obviously I guess they will always point back to say, no, this is a Mumbai style kind of takeover. A gunman goes out on a rampage, lone wolf kind of style attack. But I think there were some images that obviously came out of the attacker of the hostage taker while he was inside the cafe, and some of the images that were kind of going around, and you could see him kind of in his kind of vest, and he's got a gun, and then he's got this bandana on, and this was the first thing that kind of angered me. Things ain't making really much sense here. And the bandana, I think these days not many people wear bandanas apart from a few. And on the bandana, he said the message that was written was "Labbaik ya Muhammad." Now this is a phrase or a statement which really nobody really uses, and no Sunni uses, because if you understand, Labbaik ya Muhammad means we are responding to the call, or we are coming, oh Muhammad. Even that, it's not really correct grammatically. And the only people that really use that, will kind of come out, we've seen, is the Shia, or even in a lot of Hezbollah kind of videos and messages that they had this kind of phrase, Labbaik ya Muhammad, or Labbaik ya Hussein, and so forth. So things obviously weren't adding up, and as the day wore on, information came out that actually this was Sheikh Harun, who was an ex-Shia cleric. He's behind their kidnapping. And so later on, then more things that started getting dug up, and on his website, one of his last posts was that he said that he wished to be a Rafidi, and now he has converted to Sunni Islam, and it just all seems very, very odd. He was an Iranian refugee, who came in '96, and the thing just doesn't even make sense. Apparently, he is on charges of 50 sexual assaults. It's like I've never knew somebody could be on 50 sexual assault charges and still be on the loose. And on top of that, this is the most funniest thing that I heard, was the fact that he's apparently still on charge or trial or something for the attempted murder of his ex-wife. So all of this it just sounds completely crazy. Basically, nothing fits in. I'm sorry, but this bears all the hallmarks of a false flag operation. A man who probably had nothing to gain or lose, you could say, because if he's already on sexual assault charges, he's on bail for attempted murder, he's a perfect bill for an individual. And how conveniently, you're talking about 2 weeks before the attack, he has converted to Sunni Islam, and and then he's asking for, is an Iranian apparently ex-Shia, asking for an ISIS flag, wearing a bandana that says Labbaik ya Muhammad. So even if you convert to Sunni, no Sunni wears Labbaik ya Muhammad, kind of bandana. So, none of this really does fit in. It's absolutely alien. Indeed, they will be. They will be on the receiving end. And in Australia, I think over the last few weeks, we've reported 1 or 2 cases here and there. But actually, it's a lot of cases of Islamophobia, attacks specifically against sisters as well in Australia. And I think soon after this incident happened, there was a couple of kind of a lady who started this sort of hashtag out. And she kind of made some posts on Facebook saying how, soon after, the attack took place, there was a Muslim woman that was sitting next to her on the train, and she very quietly removed her hijab, just kind of took it off. And then this lady said she ran after her, and she told her to put it back on, and that she said I'll walk with you, And then obviously the sister started to cry, and eventually they kind of walked together, because you're looking at this. Obviously, the sister felt that she felt vulnerable at this stage, that knowing that she'll be prone to attack. She's like a walking signboard, you could say, for the Islamophobes to attack her. And then I think this hashtag started. I can't remember the exact hashtag. I think it is I'll walk with you. I couldn't actually pull it out, but I believe that it was I'll walk with you started, and the whole concept behind it is that non-Muslims are saying, and Muslims, don't feel afraid. If you're afraid to go out, if you're afraid of things, then I'll walk with you. And the lady's tweet said, I'm going to be at the Just Train Station at this time. If you want to know, just at me, and I'll walk with you. Don't feel afraid. We're with you. So this is quite a first time we've seen this after a certain incident taking place, that they've kind of come, non-Muslims coming out and saying, in defense and support of Muslims, knowing that the wider Muslims aren't to blame for actions of individuals if this was his action. So it's quite clear. And I think at the same time, a lot of things have been flying around on this. Just some points the key points I wanted to kind of talk about regarding this incident was, I watched a video how it showed just 6 weeks before this incident took place that the Australian Army did a drill of a cafe being taken hostage or siege, and they did the whole drill of how they would execute that hostage situation. So again, that's why a lot of rumors popping out that this is a false flag thing, because it's been prepared 6 weeks before, and then suddenly amazing 6 weeks after, an exact same situation in a town, a cafe has been taken hostage. This has taken place. So a lot of things are just not really adding up, and I think only time will kind of open it up further and show us what actually has happened. But we know that this comes on the back of this the CIA torture report coming out, and it's a very big diversion from that, and almost for a lot of people could be effectively justification of the torture. You see, look at these guys, there's nutcases out there, we need to get them. The only way we can stop them is by torturing them, and almost trying to win back the support for the fact that they need to do torture. And these things, we really need to look at the context and the timing of it, and it's just all just so iffy. Nothing really fits in place with that. And also, you know that these kind of operations generally, or incidents that take place, will be followed soon by certain policies that the government wants to push through that will be affecting the Muslims within maybe Australia or within the wider world, as in maybe sending in more troops or sending in troops to other Muslim territories. So this only just builds up the support and rams up the support for these kind of policies to come through. So it is good to see and refreshing to see that there are people out there who see beyond this whole issue and kind of painting everybody with the same paintbrush, and they're wary that not everybody is the same. And not all Muslims are the same, and not all Muslims should feel responsible or vulnerable for actions of others. And I think the interesting thing is I was reading an article, I think it was in the Sydney Chronicle, I think it was, if I'm correct, how they interviewed one of the Hizb ut-Tahrir members or the leaders in Australia, and there, they were asking, will you condemn what happened in Sydney? And he says, why do I need to condemn it? And goes, will you condemn the CIA torture? And the position he was taking is very clear, which is that, look, actions of other people I have no need to condemn. That man was not me, nor he had anything to do with me. Why do I need to then feel the onus to condemn actions of another person? And this is the clear thing, because what's been happening is, since all different attacks and incidents take place, especially with like the beheading of in Syria and other incidents, Muslims have been pushed on to say that, not in my name, I condemn it. And actually, it's Islamophobic to have put pressure and to expect Muslims to condemn the actions of other individuals. Likewise, do you see the Christian churches and the Jewish synagogues coming out if there's rapists and if there's pedophiles and if there's murderers from their faith? Do they come out and say, oh no, we condemn it, we as a church condemn the actions of this Christian individual? And we've seen this clear, blatant double standards. And so Hizb ut-Tahrir were taking that position. It was very clear. Why do I need to condemn the actions of this man? Would you condemn the actions of the CIA torture? Will you condemn the actions of other incidents taking place by liberals and by Christians and secularists and so forth? And then the whole article span it to almost show that they refused to condemn it, which almost and they insinuated that actually Hizb ut-Tahrir supported the actions of this of the person who was taken hostage. And you can see the kind of wild spin that was taking place in the article.
Well, I mean, this CIA thing is like I don't know if have you seen the interview by Mozambique on the Russell Brand
on Truths? Yeah.
It's actually really good. I was actually enjoying that, straight to the point and everything. But it just I don't know, sometimes just really gets you down sometimes when you see these types of interviews, and the reality is there, and it's just a shame that people just close their eyes. They closed their eyes and just put their heads up into the clouds.
Indeed, they're just literally just allowing what's going to happen. You're talking about a British citizen, the way he was tortured and the way MI5 were complicit in it and the CIA were complicit in it, and almost as if people just don't care because they think, oh, it's not me. And the picture that's been painted is those bad guys, it's those Muslims, it's those terrorists, it's those extremists. We're there to protect you and save you. Give up all your civil liberties to us, and we'll do the job for you. And you can see it's not necessarily the case when it's just Muslims. Muslims are currently the scapegoat, but you saw it with David Miranda, I think. And how he was the anti-terror laws and all of the legislation was used. The full force of it was used on him. to prevent the leaking of information, the whole WikiLeaks and that kind of, and the Snowden issue. So, it's very, very clear that at the end of the day, these civil liberties that are being kind of ripped up, people need to kind of really open their eyes and, look at beyond all of this and not kind of fall into the whole, a stereotype and thinking that it's all just Muslims and it's all them, it's all the extremists. It's actually beyond that. And on top of that, Muslims need to wake up and realize, hang on a minute, there's an active agenda out there to demonize and criminalize all kind of Muslim activity and behavior.
On that, shall we move on?
We will have to, yes, indeed, we shall move on.
Okay, another really, very fresh news actually. This is an incident that's happened in Pakistan, I believe, where a school run by the Pakistani army had been attacked.
By the Pakistani Taliban, apparently. And they're saying over about 100 children have been killed. Now, obviously, this is...
What was the just... has the Pakistan Taliban claimed responsibility for it?
From what I've read, nothing so far. They're saying they believe it is. I haven't come across anything where they've claimed it. But nevertheless, obviously, you're talking about loss of life of children. This isn't something this isn't something good at all. But it seems so strange to me. I don't know. I'm just thinking that everything seems so strange. How the whole media's come out very brazenly say, look at the Taliban, they've killed 100 children. But what about the drone strikes done in Pakistan that have killed thousands of children? No, you don't hear a word being uttered. Thousands of children have died in Pakistan, and no media outcry whatsoever with that. But yet, when it's believed to be the Pakistani Taliban, that this is the same thing that happens straight away, outcry and everything's coming out saying how this is all wrong and evil. Yes, killing of children is wrong, and therefore it should be a very clear picture that you can't say one thing is wrong and not condemn the other. If you're going to condemn one, condemn the other. Make it very clear. Don't have this double standards going out there. And at the same time, he's concerned. It's amazing how within the week of the CIA torture report being released, these incidents are happening. A Sydney hostage taking place. Apparently, 100 children have been killed by the Taliban. And all of those things, it just seems like fueling and legitimizing the whole report that came out saying, you see, we tortured people because of these incidents specifically. Look at these things. We're trying to protect you from these things happening. Again, it seems like another kind of false flag Taliban children massacre, because I don't believe the Taliban have come out and even claimed it at all as of yet. So here it's very easy just to say, yep, we know who did it, it's the Taliban, and it's them, it's this and that. So these things really needs to be very, very clear as to what's happening, and we need to not just buy into the media lies. Let's think outside the box. Let's think beyond what is thrown onto our screens, onto our phones, onto our laptops. Let's see, actually, hang on a minute, what is really happening here? What is it that that they're hiding from us? So it's important we kind of look at that and understand that. And I do feel a lot of this is just so strange that when the CIA torture happens, it's a natural thing. When bad media comes out in the press, straight away two things happen. When big media happen, there's two things that always happen. Number one is that other important issues or stories are covered during that week as very small articles. So as was famously said, it's a good day to bury bad news. That's what tends to happen. That's number one. And the number two is that usually not so long after that, another major incident somewhere would happen that would take over the headline news. Every time another big incident would take place, and it would just literally take all the headlines away from that incident and shift it over. So all this week would be CIA torture, and the Sydney thing happened, bang, Sydney's front page news. Taliban's so-called attack, boom, headline news. And it's just a deter and take away, and literally put this whole issue of the CIA torture back into the back of our minds. And really, we need to understand that we need to look beyond all of this. And with that part of the show, we'll take a very quick break now before we go into a few other topics for tonight's Security Council. Inshallah, please join us after the break. Security Council show live on Middle Path Radio. I am your host, Khabbab, and in the studio with me again is Mr. Producer. Again, just like to remind our listeners, please do call in, text in, or WhatsApp on our hotline number 07477 080248. That's 07477 080248. You can follow us on Twitter or on Facebook at Middle Path Radio, or alternative, you can email in at info@middlepathradio.com. Just before the break, obviously, we discussed some of the kind of headline news that's been coming out in this past week. I'm talking about yesterday's Sydney siege and today's reported attack on a school in Pakistan, where 100 children were killed apparently by the Pakistan Taliban as well. So now we'll kind of be moving on onto another big kind of news that was floating around last week, which was Shami Witness. Now, Shami Witness was a Twitter account, a pro-Twitter account, or a propaganda machine of ISIS, you could say, a Twitter account in support of ISIS that has, over the kind of last year or so, really stepped up. It had, I think, somewhere around 18,000 followers, and he was tweeting day and night in support of ISIS and gunning down all those who were against ISIS. And what happened was Channel 4 News managed to investigate the matter, and they had actually found who this individual was that was behind the Shami Witness account, because a lot of things were quite strange. On Twitter, a lot of accounts get suspended and closed down, a lot of accounts, and therefore people who are tweeting not really anything criminal, maybe some things that certain governments might find questionable or other things, and they get their accounts closed down. But this guy, his account has been open for years, and he's been tweeting, and usually when any new video goes up of ISIS, bang, he's on it and it's out, and it's never been shut down. And so it's just interesting. I did find it very much interesting how he managed to survive this long.
How many? 12,000 tweets or something like that?
I can't remember.
Probably more than that. It's quite strange, because you have, even in the UK here, for example, you have a mother of 3 children, and she got arrested and sent to jail for 3 or 4 years for posting something on Facebook. And this guy, he's
tweeted 129,000 tweets. He's got 17,700 followers.
But wouldn't that raise up kind of alarm bells to like the admin of Twitter and all that kind of stuff? If there was genuine concern regarding the stuff that this guy's pumping out, shouldn't they just shut it down?
Well, normally this is exactly what happens, but he was allowed free reign to continue. And after all of these digging around, it's just amazing how the FBI or the MI5 and other security services of the world could not discover who this man was, yet Channel 4 News managed to discover it. It really I just find this absolutely comical, how this could possibly be the case, that you're talking about some of the best minds of the secret services around the world could not discover this individual, yet Channel 4 News, my God, they've really got the wrong people working in the secret service, haven't they? They need the Channel 4 News team in there, and they managed to discover it. And he was a man from India who was tweeting away, a very young man from India who's been tweeting away in support of ISIS. And eventually, obviously, his identity was revealed, and it was very clear who he was. And I believe recently he was being also arrested by the Indian authorities there. Now, it's just interesting that this is a man who, I must say, a lot of people who have engaged in Twitter debates, you could say, with him, is very much known to be just straight out hardcore takfiri. Anybody who disagrees with him straight, or you're a kafir or a munafiq, and all of these things to come out really from him. So I think you couldn't really discuss or debate with this guy. It was near impossible, looking at a lot of the kind of discussion that took place with him. So he's gone out there, and he did really insult a lot of people on Twitter. But And then I think Channel 4 News talked about the interview that he had with him, asking him why is it that he's not in Syria then, if he's a pro-ISIS, because he would love to have gone to Syria or been there, but his family, I think his mother and father, depend on his income or his job to bring in money. But then it's just questions. I don't know, for me it's questions like, this man used to tweet day and night, so how is it that he apparently still worked? What job would you do if you're tweeting day and night? It doesn't make sense. So unless ISIS,
the way they've kind of portrayed, I can't say the word because I've got a bad throat.
Portrayed.
The way they portrayed,
yeah.
Basically, they've said that he's led like a double life. In the daytime, he's a hard-working office goer. He does his 9-to-5 job, and come in the evening, he puts on another mask, and he just on his computer, and he's just constantly just tweeting. And I'm thinking, come on, a person's got a bit more life than just sit there 24 hours.
It just doesn't make sense unless ISIS has done what all other great companies have done is outsource their media agency to India.
Just yesterday, I was watching this news clip, and they actually had a tally on TV to show how much of a financial commitment ISIS has made just for its publicity stunt, and the highest kind of the area where they're funding a lot of money, or funding a lot of the money that they're getting, is into Twitter. And I'm thinking, how on earth did they manage to get that kind of,
it's amazing how much money they have, and it's amazing how much.
With that kind of money, you can run a country.
It's just, there are question marks like, where is all of this coming from? It's amazing how much that they do have at their disposal. But obviously, this young man has been kind of now detained and arrested. And questioned for this account, and it always took big news.
I think the Indian government have actually said he's done nothing illegal.
That's the thing, and I think he mentioned himself. He said they can arrest him and everything, but I've done nothing illegal. He's not broken any laws. He's not done anything.
Any violence.
So I think all in all, he hasn't really broken. So he's going to go through the processes, and he'll probably be released afterwards. But again, it was shocking news. But soon after, what happened was, once Channel 4 had discovered who this individual was, he shut down his account. And then, secondly, what happened was, following that, it was when the revelation, Channel 4 said that we have identified who the man is, a lot of other pro-ISIS Twitter accounts shut down themselves as well. So I think a lot of people maybe got scared who were supporting ISIS, and they shut down their accounts. Now, actually, if you were to check now on Twitter, you would find that Shami Witness's account is reopened. It's been re-enabled.
Okay.
And the tweet, which was from 2 days ago, he just basically says that... hello, I have, those kind of automatic tweets that kind of come out when you have a certain app.
Yes.
And it says now, I've just saved my tweets and friends' replies, the whole conversation, with @tweet download. So it'll probably I just think maybe it's just the authorities or Indian authorities who have downloaded, maybe, or re-enabled his account to download all of his tweets. But again, the account is re-enabled and opened again. So we shall see what happens of this. But it was big news in terms of a big, you can say, coup against the ISIS media machine. And I don't know, I'm thinking that this man possibly could have been actually even paid by ISIS to be tweeting day and night, because he was tweeting a lot. He tweeted a lot. And I don't know what job you can do that will let you tweet that much, unless you are paid to tweet.
I find it really hard to believe that ISIS would pay somebody to tweet like that. I mean, the thing is, these are your kind of, they're like the rebels from the Syrian kind of thingy, and for them.
But they are a state, and many states do pay people to tweet. So
yeah, I wonder which country you're talking about. The war game rooms.
Yeah, of course. As we know, the famous Israel is very well known for paying people to go onto Facebook and to Twitter and to basically tweet on Facebook all day and night. So it wouldn't be a big surprise if ISIS were doing it, really. But yeah, I understand what you mean, which is that they're in the middle of a war. Would they be kind of paying people to tweet? But they have invested a lot of money in social media, and maybe they have followed suit and outsourced their media outlet and some of the call centers to India, as many of the other kind of companies and organizations tend to do. But it'll be an interesting development to see what happens with this individual and how it proceeds further. But as we know, if the question is, my question is, why is it that his account was allowed to go on for such a long time, when we know other people who say things far, far less than that have their account shut down, and the fact that it took a Channel 4 news team to be able to discover who this individual was, whereas other people couldn't.
I have my suspicions. I mean, could it be that the information that he was retweeting was actually genuine news that say for example America or the CIA or whoever are kind of they need the information as well? Hence,
well, a lot of people took him as a credible news outlet for ISIS. People followed him because they knew that they can get up-to-date latest ISIS information. Literally, when the beheading videos came out, he was one of the first ones out there that tweeted the video. So that means that he knew the right links and the channels to get access to that information and to push it out there on social media. So he was networked.
It makes you ask the question, I mean, how many other accounts are there like this, and how many other quote-unquote paid tweeters are out there right now?
Well, yeah, and you can look at other sides, not just ISIS, how many from many other organizations, countries, states, institutions that are out there following this kind of similar tactic. But I think one of the slurs they tried to obviously have against this man was saying that how he used to party and have Hawaiian something parties and whatnot, and some pictures of him where he is out with his friends, and obviously there's a kind of character assassinate and slur on him. Trying to show that, oh look, this guy, he was a hardcore ISIS by day but a partier by night kind of thing. So again, a lot of things come out about that individual, but I thought it's an issue that has arisen, and it's important that we kind of talk about it. And like I said, I've thrown my points of view out there. Please do text or call in and join in with and see if there's anything that you want to share regarding this news article.
There is something I do want to share before we go on to our next topic.
Yeah.
It's a very short little thing, but it's actually a Facebook comment from the EDL website.
We did want to talk about that as well. You're right. You're reminding me. That's good.
This is something. This is just kind of flying off on a tangent, but I find it so hilarious when I mean, it's got some valid points at the same time. Just so funny. It's just a little caption from a gentleman by the name of Matthew, and this is what he writes. He writes, nobody listens to me or likes my post. I need to grow up and stop being a racist. I need to start acting quote-unquote normal. I'm so distraught, I need help. None of my family agree with what I say on here. I still do it though. Maybe I should listen to them and stop it. Grow up and stop posting racism according to them. They know best. I'm not the son or the brother they knew, and they never raised me to be this way. I'm a hater and need to act normal. Both of my sisters have. This is the funniest part. Both of my sisters have unfriended me, and I don't have any contact with my mum or stepdad. Even my daughter's mother has accused me of being racist and blocked my number, and I don't see my daughter. I am totally alone with myself now, apart from the cat. Okay, all the family has gone. I won't bend though. Guess I'll be pulling Christmas crackers with the cat. She's black and I love her to bits.
What the hell is that?
Basically, I mean, he just got on a racist rant.
He's either got completely crazy or loony or something.
He just got on a racist rant, and he just saw everybody just falling up, his whole world falling apart around him, and he's at the. I mean, you got to give it to the guy. He's at the bottle to go online and just basically spill his guts out like that.
Looks like his racist passion has made him lose everything in his life, but yeah, he's still going strong. These people are very sad. But with Britain's first, yeah, I've got to say, something that came out recently. It's been in some of the news articles recently.
Exposed, haven't they?
No, what it was back in July. There was some false news that came out on some local media in Birmingham that the View Cinema in Star City, Birmingham, refused entry to a white man because he wasn't Muslim, and the cinema was only allowed for Muslims that evening, or that I think the issue. Yeah. Now, this kind of news came out, and straight away it was completely knocked off the shelf. It said that this is false. It was a rumor. It wasn't true. The cinema came out, made it very clear. And other news sources kind of came out and said, yeah, they acknowledged it wasn't true. That didn't stop Britain's first. back in July, Britain's First actually then went to the cinema, went to Star View Cinema, and then went there and said, we're going to go and we're going to confront the manager and ask him, what is this? That he's only allowing Muslims in there and turning away Englishmen from going to the cinema. They go and speak to the guy. Is this true? And he goes, no, it's not true. And then he's sitting there and he goes, but it's not true. It didn't happen. He goes, just look around you. Do you see only Muslims here, or is it also so many different types of people that are here in the cinema? And he kept going on. He goes, well, all right. And then he kept saying, he goes, all right, then I'm going to hand you a leaflet. You're going to take it. And he gives him a leaflet. And he walks around the cinema and they just go and hand out leaflets. And the funny thing was, although this happened in July, what's actually happened is Britain's First have recently now posted that video on their Facebook. And all the kind of different media and newspapers have picked up on it and said, Britain's First, knowing that it wasn't even true news, they still went there. And then on top of that, they still posted it. It's literally talking about putting mud in your face, that they actually going around doing stunts on news that don't even exist, not even true. Just like the whole stunt about I think was it a pub that was going to get turned into a mosque or something, but actually it wasn't. It was going to get turned into
KFC.
KFC, I think it was.
Yeah, it was KFC.
So and then when I protested, I gotta say these guys are absolutely bleeding lunatic.
There's another picture on the EDL site that's linked, and it's basically it's a snippet from the Metro newspaper, and I find it quite strange the fact that it's actually on one of their members' Facebook pages, but it's actually a little article. Basically, I'll just read it out quickly. To the man from Somalia who found my purse and sent it back to me with all the money and cards intact. You even paid for it to be posted by special delivery. I can't thank you enough. Tons of Christmas karma heading your way. It's from a lady called Sophie from South London. So I think they acknowledge that Muslims can do good things. But I'm just it's a bit like our friend Matthew, who got unfriended by his sister. They've actually realised that there are good people out there. Do you know what? He would make a really, really good nomination for the Django of the Week.
What, the Britain's First?
No, the Matthew guy, the one whose sister's unfriended him.
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
He'd be a good Django of the Week.
Well, we shall see before the end of the show who's up there for the nominations. There is another news story I want to kind of cover, which I found quite interesting, and then just before I forget, Mr. Producer, please do remind me to talk about another article in the Daily Mail that popped up, which is again I found very interesting. But here was an article that posted about a young boy, a 17-year-old boy in America, who's actually of Muslim, Bengali origin, Muhammad Islam, 17. And the headline states, New York schoolboy made $72 million trading stocks on his lunch break, and now takes his friends out to dine on $400 caviar, drives a BMW, and has definitely made his immigrant parents proud. That was the title of the article, and this is in the Daily Mail actually. It says here, Muhammad Islam, 17, started dabbling in penny stocks at the age of 9. He trades stocks on lunch breaks at New York High School. Has an 8-figure trading, rumored to be as much as he has made 8 figures trading, rumored to be as much as $72 million. Has bought a BMW and a Manhattan apartment. His parents are immigrants from Bengal region in South Asia, and so forth. The whole story goes on. He talks about how he started dabbling in penny stocks, penny shares, and then went to oil and gold. And I'm not really clued up with these whole stocks and share stuff, but either way, he said in his lunch breaks he made this money. And the funny thing was, while I was reading the comments on the article, everyone was saying it's impossible for him to make money on penny shares. And then he's just trying to work things out. It's impossible, but nevertheless, the news was kind of reported in what paper was it now? In an interview to the magazine's 10th annual Reasons to Love New York. He referred to his article came out as to him making so much money, and he's got pictures and proving that he's done so much. And this came out about 2 days ago, and then today, interestingly enough, the article came out saying that the schoolboy investor who led the world to believe he made $72 million now says he made the whole thing up. So,
well, like a practical joke.
it was literally a practical joke. And the magazine that wrote the whole article was duped by paperwork that he made up. He's just amazing. I think this guy is clever. Whether or not he made his $72 million or not.
I mean, don't these journalism have like protocols to check these stories?
It's funny. It says here, Muhammad Islam 17 came clean while surrounded by his friends, a crisis team of PR pros and attorneys. A firestorm of criticism has been aimed at New York Magazine for printing a story that appeared to back up the $72 million claim. New York Magazine reporter Jessica Pressler hit back Monday, claiming that indeed saw documents confirming the 8 figures Islam was rumoured to have. However, on Tuesday, the magazine issued an online apology to its readers, said it was duped by paperwork appearing to show the 8-figure sum. So, here he was saying that Muhammad Islam, he made millions of dollars by trading oil and gold futures and equities, has now hired a pricey crisis PR firm to battle-tested attorneys to spread the word. And it's just interesting how, you gotta say, these journalists must be crazy. They're just not really checking facts, pushing stories out there. And really, can you blame it? If you've got journalists knocking on your door saying, oh, is this true that this rumour that's flowing around saying that you've earned 72 million, is it true? Oh yeah, then it's true. Have your kind of 5 minutes of fame, of stardom, and it's kind of gone out there. So, and obviously now they've kind of realised that it's all actually a big lie. But again, I don't know who we can use from there, but I don't know, the boy could be Django of the week, the reporter could be Django of the week, because this was just the biggest mess up.
I think the boy shouldn't get the Django of the week.
I think the boy is too clever. I gotta say, I gotta give it to him. He's an opportunist.
I mean, how many 17-year-olds do you know that would get that kind of attention?
Of course.
He got the ultimate attention. He got worldwide.
He got world media, yeah. So I think maybe the reporter Jessica Pressler will end up probably being Django of the week for her amazing reporting skills on that. And there was one last article I kind of wanted to go over.
Daily Mail, you said?
It was Daily Mail. Let me just quickly pull this one up because I found this quite interesting. And it's amazing how the Daily Mail will always find a story on Islam.
Sorry,
on
I don't
Muslims.
recognize that name. Daily
Fail. Sorry, let's get that correct. Daily Fail.
Reputable.
Now this one, it says here, Islamic doll, the doll, kids play with a doll, for children, launched in Britain with no face, in line with strict Sharia rules on depiction of Prophet and his contemporaries. What has a face on a doll got to do with the Prophet and his contemporaries? But it says here,
Let me have a look at that.
It says here, you gotta have a look at it. It's a face without a doll without a face. It says featureless doll with no eyes, nose, lips, produced for Muslim children. It complies with Muslim teachings that living things should not be created. Doll took 4 years to design. I'm sorry, but a doll without a face took 4 years to design. It don't make sense to me. It is aimed at children in strict Muslim homes. It was designed by designer by Ridwan Abi, a former Lancashire school teacher. It's called Dini Doll. It's being sold for £25 and is marketed as Sharia compliant. It's marketed as Sharia compliant doll. The academics said it was foolish as Muslims are not frozen in history. And it's just interesting, the whole story. It makes no sense. It was designed to comply with strict Muslim teachings which rule against the representation of humans and animals in other forms, specifically Muslim gods and their companions. What Muslim gods are you talking about? There are no gods in Islam. There is only Allah. Muslim gods and their companions. This person who wrote this article must be thinking that
they don't have a clue. Really.
They don't have a clue. If you just read the article, it's absolutely shambolic. It makes no sense at all. So the doll, which comes in one design, is called Ramesa and named after the female companion of the Prophet Muhammad, is aimed at children living in strict Muslim families. There is Islamic ruling which forbids the depiction of facial features of any kind. It just goes on. It's just some of these things. Just obviously, the doll was made. It's a real doll. It was made. But the article is just absolutely horrendous. If you're reading it, you think this person has no idea and just literally just going on a lot of rubbish. But the whole point being is, when has a new doll been made front page news on a newspaper? It only makes news if it's something of controversy which is related to Islam or the Muslims or a Muslim. And this is the main thing, that Daily Mail just do not fail, really. That's why they're called the Daily Fail. They do not fail.
They do not fail to fail.
Exactly. They do not fail in their daily article writing, attack, slander on Islam and the Muslims. You know, it's endless. And all this story designed to do, you're like, people, oh, these people, they're crazy. They're taking away childhood. They're not putting a face on the door. And all of these kind of things are, you know, kind of coming out. And it's just more designed to spin more hatred and more animosity towards the Muslims.
The thing is, I mean, there's so many kids' cartoon even on TV where there are cartoons where characters don't have a mouth, a nose, ears, and that don't even get any attention.
It doesn't get any attention because it doesn't really fit into any kind of narrative which suits them or pushes a certain agenda. And that is the key thing, is all of this is agenda driven. They've got this whole big, you know, every day the Daily Mail has an article. Every day it has an article, at least one, if not more, on something Muslim related.
They would not fail to fail.
You know, and that's what it is. Daily Fail will not fail you, that's for sure, in the continual kind of storytelling. And that's what it is. And the articles just make no sense at all. They're absolutely shocking. But, you know, I would not encourage people to read the Daily Mail. You know, I just generally don't, but it just seems to be that I always seem to come across people who post Daily Mail news stories. But if you weren't so serious, I would be just laughing my head off, because most of these articles are absolutely laughable. But it has a serious implication, unfortunately.
And I was just going to say, I mean, obviously, if you see it in the newspaper, it's got thousands and thousands of followers. They're selling they're selling it by the truckloads. And the thing is, people are gullible, and people are taking these stories up, and they're actually relating it, saying, you know, these Muslims are medieval, these Muslims are backward, and, you know, why would you deprive a child of a faceless doll? You know, and people will kind of take these stories and, you know, they will see it as credible news outlet, and they will wholeheartedly believe that.
Of course, there's so many that people would do. And just to know that there are many other Muslim dolls out there with faces, you know, it's just this obviously person who's created it, opted not to have the face there, and so there's different opinions in terms of in relation to the whole concept of dolls and whatnot.
The funny thing is, it took them 4 years to design a faceless doll.
Last time I checked, when they create a doll, all you've got to do is just not put the face on.
Eyes and nose and
you know,
mouth.
just not do that. I don't think it's too much, but I'm not too sure why it took 4 years. It is a very, very interesting doll indeed. By all means, if you didn't want to buy it, it's called a Dini doll and it's £25. Don't know where they sell it though. But with that kind of sums up the kind of news.
What can we expect from for next week's show? Because obviously there's a lot of things going on right now. The CIA torture report is still being dissected. There's still stuff coming out of it. Obviously we've had Muazzam Beg on the Russell Brand show talking about it. So maybe we can play that for next week's show.
Maybe we will, because I think Brother Muazzam really does. He is very articulate, and he really does get his point across.
Yeah, I think next week, if we make a note of it, we'll play that. Or you can go on YouTube and watch it.
Yep.
CIA report, and
as you know, generally through the week, many incidents do take place, and so we like to kind of cover the hot topics that are on the literally off the press kind of discussions, and really dissect them and get to the bottom of, you know, what's behind all of this news and what's behind all of that. So with that, there is only one last thing that is left to conclude the show, which is Django of the Week. We do have a few nominations,
I'm
but
feeling Matthew was like, I think his sad spell, I think he deserves an award.
I think he does. I think he'll feel happy.
I think,
getting Django
somebody
of the
has
Week.
acknowledged his post, because he's saying nobody likes his post no more. And
Forget liking it, mate. It's probably been shared, it's been tweeted, and it's been given the seal of approval of you being literally the most foolish Django of the week. So
Matthew,
I think
this is to you.
I hope you're listening. So with that, inshallah, Jazakallah khair for all of our listeners for tuning in, listening to the Security Council. We'll be back next week, usual time, 10 p.m. See you then. Subhanakallah bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
In a world overrun by neocon warmongers, and with the mass media in the pockets of the cabal elite, there remains one bastion of truth amidst the confusion. One beacon of light shining through the murky fog of spin and Islamophobic propaganda. That's right, it's the NP Radio Security Council, the final frontier in the fight for freedom and fairness. I give you the Security Council.
أبدا لن نحيد أبدا لن نحيد أبدا لن نحيد عن خطى الإيمان دربنا درب قويم دربنا درب قويم بالهدى القرآني أبدا لن نحيد أبدا لن نحيد أبدا لن نحيد عن خطى الإيمان دربنا درب قويم دربنا درب قويم بالهدى القرآني سائر في طريق الحق
Middle Path Radio, your number one online Islamic talk station.